Picture the last time you watched your backyard squirrel bury something. Maybe it was at the base of the oak tree. Maybe near the garden wall. You watched it dig, those quick little paws working the soil, and then place something carefully in the hole. Cover it over, pat it down, walk away. And you thought, there it is. That is the famous squirrel behavior. That is what they do. Here is what you did not know. There is a very real chance that hole was empty. The squirrel performed the entire routine, the digging, the placing, the covering, without putting a single thing in the ground. And it did it specifically because you were watching. This is not speculation. This is documented science, published research. And when you understand what your squirrel was actually doing, and what it had to know about you to do it, the backyard you have been looking at your whole life is going to look completely different. The behavior has a name. Researchers call it deceptive caching, or false caching. And the first time it was formally documented, the study attracted attention well beyond the usual circles of wildlife biology, because what it implied about squirrel cognition was genuinely difficult to ignore. Here is exactly how it works. A squirrel finds food, an acorn, a walnut, a seed, it wants to bury it. But before it chooses where, it scans. It is not scanning for predators, it is scanning for witnesses. If another squirrel is nearby, or a bird, the calculation changes immediately. The squirrel selects a visible location, somewhere the watcher can see clearly, and it performs the full burial routine with absolute commitment. It digs, it appears to place something. It covers the hole, it pats the soil, it looks entirely convincing. The food stays in its cheek pouches the entire time. Then, once the watcher has moved on or looked away or been successfully misdirected, the squirrel relocates, quietly, quickly. It finds a second spot, less visible, less obvious, and it buries the food for real, with minimal ceremony. The decoy hole is for you. The real cache is somewhere you were never meant to see. And here is the part that changes everything. The squirrel you watched last week, carefully burying something near your garden bed while you had your morning coffee, may have looked up, registered your face in that window, and decided in that moment to give you the wrong information. Not by accident, on purpose. The formal research into this behavior was led by Michael Steele and colleagues, studying eastern gray squirrels, the species in most North American backyards. What they found was systematic and repeatable. Squirrels that were being observed by other squirrels, by birds, by researchers, were significantly more likely to use deceptive caching than squirrels who were alone. The deception was not random, it was audience-dependent. Turn off the audience, the behavior drops. Bring the audience back, it returns. But the research uncovered something even more striking. The squirrels most likely to use deceptive caching were not random members of the population. They were the ones who had previously stolen food from other squirrels' caches. Read that again slowly. The squirrels who had personal experience of stealing, who knew exactly what it felt like to raid someone else's carefully hidden food, those were the squirrels most likely to assume that someone was going to do the same to them. They were projecting. Their own behavior became the model for what they expected from others. If I steal, then others steal. If others steal, I need to deceive them. In cognitive research, this kind of reasoning, understanding that other individuals have intentions, knowledge, and the capacity to act on that knowledge, enters the territory of what scientists call theory of mind, the ability to build a mental model of what someone else knows, or thinks, or plans to do. It was once assumed to be exclusive to humans and great apes. Your backyard squirrel is doing something in that neighborhood. Let us be precise about what deceptive caching actually demands, step by step. Step 1. The squirrel has to know it is being observed, not just sense movement near it. Specifically register that another creature's attention is directed at it. Step 2. It has to understand that the observer might want its food. It has to model the observer's potential motivation, not just its presence. Step 3. It has to construct a counter-strategy, not hide better, not run away, but actively create false information and deliver it convincingly. Step 4. It has to execute that strategy without breaking the performance. Dig, place, cover, walk away naturally. That sequence is not instinct. Instinct runs the same way regardless of whether there is an audience. Deceptive caching only activates when someone is watching. The squirrel is reading a social situation and crafting a response to what it needs another mind to believe. And there is one more layer. After the fake burial, the squirrel has to carry two separate memories: the location it performed for the observer and the location where the food actually is. Those two things have to be stored separately. And when winter comes and the squirrel needs to find food under 6 inches of snow, it goes to the real location, not the one it created for your benefit. That is not a simple brain. Once you know this, you will never watch a burial the same way. And you can actually start to tell the difference. Real burials tend to be quick, focused. The squirrel moves to its chosen spot with purpose, often using specific landmarks you might not register. A particular tree root, the junction of 2 fence boards, a specific garden stone. It digs efficiently, berries, covers, and leaves. No lingering, no ceremony, no checking. Fake burials tend to be more visible, more elaborate. The squirrel often chooses a conspicuous location, somewhere easy to see from where the observer is standing. And if you watch carefully, you will catch the tell. Before it begins, it glances toward you. It is checking the audience is still there. The performance only works if someone is watching. There is also a seasonal pattern worth knowing: deceptive caching peaks in autumn, when food competition is at its highest, when every burial matters most, when the stakes of being robbed are at their greatest. In spring and early summer, when pressure is lower, you will see it less. The squirrel weighs the effort of deception against the actual risk in real time. Here is something that may matter to you specifically. If your squirrel has spent months observing you and concluded, through your consistent behavior, that you are not a food threat, the deception directed at you may have already decreased. The squirrel calibrates. A stranger in your yard gets the full performance. An unfamiliar dog next door gets the full performance. You, after months of non-threatening presence, may have already moved off the threat list. The trust shows up in what the squirrel stops hiding from you. Here is the thing I want you to sit with. For your squirrel to fake a burial when you are watching, it has to know you are watching. It has to register your attention as a real and relevant fact about its situation. Not just your physical presence, your attention, the direction of your gaze, the fact that you are a mind that could form a belief about what it just did. You are not background noise to your squirrel. You are a specific individual with a specific behavioral history that it has been tracking. The deception is not a betrayal, it is recognition. Your squirrel is not performing for a wall or a post or a random moving shape. It is performing for you because it has modeled you, because it knows you are paying attention, because it is smart enough to manage what you believe. That is a form of social intelligence most people never expect to find in a gray squirrel on a garden fence. And here is the question that I find genuinely fascinating. If your squirrel has been managing what you believe about it, through careful, calculated deception, since the first day it decided your yard was worth staying in, what else has it figured out about you? What other calculations has it been running, quietly, while you watched from the window and thought you understood what you were seeing? The yard is the same yard. The squirrel is the same squirrel. But you are not seeing the same thing you were seeing before. If you have a garden camera, go back and watch old footage of your squirrel burying food. Watch for the glance. Watch for the elaborate visible location. Watch for the cheeks that look too full after the burial. You may have hours of footage of a very talented liar. Drop a comment below. Tell me if you have ever actually caught your squirrel doing this. I want to know. And subscribe to the Squirrel Next Door. Every week we find one more thing happening in your backyard that is stranger and smarter than you expected. Because it always is.